upper lower body, 4 exercises is a really good start. And like I said, Google them or come on to my other video things, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, to gain some access for specific exercises to do.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to your second 50. And if you are with me in this episode, then you were in my final number 6 in a 6-part series on my guidebook for how to control and minimize and get out of pre-diabetes when you're over 50 and you're a male or a female. All right, everybody, this is episode number 6, the last one in my series. And I did say throughout this series that I've done this in a hierarchical order, but don't think that just because this is number 6 that you can like poo-poo this and it's not important. It is important. It's just not as immediately important as, the first 5 were. But this one is probably one of your best ones for long-term management to get you out of pre-diabetes and never to return. All right. So what I'm going to talk about in this episode is lean skeletal muscle. So lean skeletal muscle is what we think about when you say bicep and pectorals and, quadriceps and glutes, the muscles of our body, skeletal muscles that move our skeletal system. Because there's a couple other types of muscle, smooth muscle inside our digestive system, heart muscle and organ muscle. But what I'm specifically talking about in this episode that we can work to help pre-diabetes, if we get some guidelines for, is skeletal muscle, lean muscle. It's the muscles of our body, and our bodies are comprised of like 3 main types of tissue. The first one is water. The second one is muscle, skeletal muscle mass. The third one is body fat. And then we have bone and we have organs. So those are lesser. So the 3 big ones are, water, fat, and lean skeletal muscle. And hopefully it's more water, lean skeletal muscle, and then fat in that order. Okay. But those of us who are over 50 and definitely over 60, unless we're doing something to maintain our muscle, we're losing it. Once women are through menopause and postmenopausal, we have to be adding some sort of resistance training, because if we're not, estrogen used to help us keep the muscle on our body without doing anything except everyday activity. But once estrogen is tanked, then that's not there to help keep it. So you have to do some resistance work as part of your everyday, habit patterns. Otherwise, you're not avoiding gaining lean mass and adding lean mass. You're actually losing lean mass because you're not stopping that process by adding some strength training in. And you didn't have to do that when you were a younger woman. You do have to do it once you're post-menopause. And for men, it's the same thing, except it's not such a blatant stage of life. It's kind of progressive. But by the time you're 60, again, you've got to be doing something that is resistance workout of some sort, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, of what to do if you don't like to go to the gym, or you're not a weight person, or you're not an exerciser. But you have to do some sort of body loading exercise to just keep the skeletal muscle on your body, unlike when you were younger, where it would stay even if you're doing minimal, just everyday life things, okay? So when you're over 50 and postmenopausal, if you're a female, and over 60 as a male, it is imperative that we do some sort of weight loading on our bodies in order to keep our lean mass. So now, why am I talking about that in a pre-diabetes and how to get out of pre-diabetes guidebook? Because muscle on your body, it's like a sponge for glucose. Okay, muscles need the glucose to do the work of moving our bodies through time and space, and muscle is actually live tissue that needs that energy source to stay alive and to function, whereas fat is a storage unit and it doesn't need anything that much to stay alive or function. It's just kind of like, it's like a repository in a sense. So a lot of people who are like over 50, pre-diabetic or not, there's a lot of stuff coming out about might be over fat. So everybody's trying to lose fat, but really, if you get a body composition analysis, not a BMI, because that doesn't show what I'm going to talk about, but a body composition analysis that will show you not just your weight and not just your fat, but your lean muscle. Because a lot of people over 60 now have either too high a fat or okay amounts of fat, but they're under muscle. And if you're under muscle, no matter where your fat level is, but definitely if it's higher fat too. So under muscle, higher fat is a recipe for disaster for getting into a pre-diabetic category, because your body doesn't have, as much tissue on it that's going to utilize that blood sugar when we're eating foods that have a lot of it in it. And that's why it stays in the blood longer. And then your A1C goes up and blood sugar is circulating all over at too high of an amount, where it would be more controlled if you had more muscle on your body, because now it's being gobbled up by those muscles. Okay. So I hope I made that clear. So lean muscle on your body is actually going to help to eat the glucose, so it doesn't stay high. And if you have less muscle, you're less apt to have that happening. And then you're at more of a risk of being diagnosed with prediabetes. Hi, everybody. I wanted to interrupt this podcast because I want to give you something. Your Second 50.life is my virtual platform that is designed for both men and women over 50 and 60, 70, and 80. And it includes pre-recorded video information on exercise and how to do it, whether you're fit and in good health, or if you have bad knees, bad shoulders, a bad back, whatever. It includes information on how to eat for weight management and how to eat for health management. It includes information on the psychology of aging and what do we need to do in our heads, because let's face it, this aging thing is not for the faint of heart. So your Second 50.life is a virtual platform of resources that you can access at your own leisure, but it also includes 2 times a month live video coaching with me, so that you can bring your own individual questions and get individual coaching, as well as have access to all the information on the pre-recorded videos. So please check it out, because we're all in this together and we got this if we work as a team. All right, everybody, back to the show. Thanks. All right. So this muscle on our body, all right, lots of ways to try to work with that, to add to it. And for most of my clients over 60, there's a contingency that loves going to the gym or wants to go to the gym or whatever. But most of the people I work with individually who are over 60, they want it to be they understand they have to do something if they're diabetic. Although a lot of them are not told what I just told you. You now know more than many people who have been diagnosed with prediabetes, but they're being told they have to add lean muscle to their body so that they can be self-ambulatory and be able to get, walk around in your own life without a walker or a wheelchair, in your 80s or 90s or older, right? But yes, we need muscle. So if it's atrophying and going away, that's going to be a problem for movement as we age. But what I'm specifically addressing here is that it's also going to be a problem for higher risk of prediabetes and diabetes type 2. All right. So we need to be focusing in on this lean muscle mass. So you have to have a method for measuring it, because you can't tell. You think you can, but you can't tell. So there's very inexpensive scales that you can buy that are body composition, and that will give you this number and amount, and you can look up to see where are you in terms of what's recommended, what's the healthy amount for an 85-year-old female who's 5'2", or a 67-year-old male who's 6'1". All right, you need to get that information somehow, some way. It's on the internet for how much is recommended to have, but you need to get your measurement. And fortunately, you can buy these relatively inexpensive scales, but don't think the BMI chart in the doctor's office is going to indicate that, because it doesn't. It doesn't differentiate what the weight is. So it could be very high body fat, very low muscle, or it could be high muscle and low body fat, but it's just the scale number. So you can't tell from that BMI chart. That's just height to weight. Okay. So you got to get a body composition scale, or go to someone like myself, where I have machinery that can actually measure it, and then I can interpret it. Okay. Many people like me out there, so look us up. Now, once you know if you're under muscled, now you've got to take on adding some muscle, because that's going to be your sixth tool in my guidebook for helping to get out of pre-diabetic category or to avoid getting into it altogether. So now you have to use resistance of some sort. Most of my clients, it's body weight and then position. All right. That's the entry level for everybody. Then you can graduate to tubes and bands and elastic things, because you can have those in your house without having to have a space for them. Then you can go to free weights, and then maybe go to a gym where they actually have weight machines. But for my clients who are not exercisers or don't really have the desire to spend hours in a gym, and all the things I hear as, explanations for why they don't want to do that, your body weight. So you can do a wall push-up. You're on the wall and then you're standing. You bring your body, if you're upright, you can lean into it, move your feet further back from the wall, and now you've got more weight. So you find the position that is adding more weight to your own body and gravity, so that you are now getting the loading that will help you to grow some muscle and make the muscle you have stronger. All right. Very important. I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty of the actual movements to do, because there's tons of information out about that. You can Google exercises, body weight exercises to help increase lean muscle, lean skeletal muscle. You will get an inventory. I can give them to you. I have other videos and things with actual specific exercises. But for the purposes of this video, I just want you to understand that you can use your own body weight, gravity, and various positions so that you can get the loading on the big muscle groups, the chest muscles, the upper back, the front of your legs, and the back of your legs. Those are the four main areas. I just told you about wall push-ups. You can do desk push-ups right on a desk. I'm on a desk right now, so I've got my hands on the desk and I'm coming forward and back, and I can go in a semi-plank position. That's a little more advanced position than on the wall. And then you can graduate to on the floor if you can get down to the floor. But the two I just gave you, you don't even have to get to the floor. And then another one that you can do is just sitting in a chair. I'm sitting in a chair right now, and sit right on the edge of it. And then don't use your hands. Stand up and sit down. Stand up and sit down. And now you can hold your grandchild. If you've got a young grandchild, you can hold a backpack with a bunch of books in it, and now add more resistance to that if you can do it with your own body weight relatively easily. But there's lots of ways that you can use everyday, furniture and your body, and then add with everyday home use, home items. A gallon jug of water is a great weight. You can hold that as you do in the squats I just showed you. But again, to summarize the Cliff Note version here, this video is not about giving you the specific exercises. It's getting you to understand that you have to add resistance work, some sort of movements. And like I just said, you only need four main ones: a push kind of exercise for your upper body, a pull for your upper back, a push, which the standing up from the chair is a push up for your legs, and then a pull exercise for the back of your legs. That could be sitting in a chair, putting your feet on the floor, and then sliding them in and then pushing them out, sliding them in and creating like a resistance with energetically in your head, like fight the pull in to get the back of your legs. Those are the main four: push, pull, front, back, upper, lower body. 4 exercises is a really good start. And like I said, Google them or come on to my other video things, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, to gain some access for specific exercises to do. But again, to summarize for this video, for pre-diabetes, the 6th tool of the 6 I'm offering you is get your body composition analysis in some way, shape, or form, and see how much lean skeletal muscle pounds you have, and then work on trying to increase that so that your muscle of your body works like an insulin injection without having to get an insulin injection. So lean mass on your body, increasing it, is your 6th tool for how to get out of prediabetes and then how to stay out of it when you're over 50 for a male or female. All right, everybody, thank you. This is the end of this series. If, like I said, you've obviously watched this one if you got to this point. If you haven't watched the other 5, go back and find those. They're on YouTube. They're on Spotify. They're on podcast channels. You can also access them on my yoursecond50.life platform, which is a virtual library of guidebooks and information on weight management, weight loss, optimal aging, how to use behaviors in our everyday life to get out of pre-stages of various chronic diseases. Tons of really valuable information there. So please check that out. And it's been a pleasure, everybody. I hope you'll join me on my next video series or in some other of my video productions. And in the meantime, make every single minute and day of your second 50 on this planet valuable, satisfying, and we got this aging thing, and now we got this pre-diabetes thing. We got it. We got it.
And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.